Skip.
Skip, James.
Skip, not keep.
Skip.
See very short ones.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. By virtue of the power vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby constitute this congregation of the University of the Free State for the awarding of certificates and diplomas and the conferment of degrees in the faculties of humanities and theology and religion. I therefore award certificates and diplomas and confer degrees on all the candidates that the respective deans present to this congregation. In addition, I hereby award certificates and diplomas and confer degrees on those whose names appear in the program but who are not present here today. Please be seated.
Good morning and hearty welcome to this joyous event, the graduation ceremony. Before I give a little bit a short welcoming message from my side as the Rector and Vice Chancellor, I would just first like to welcome a few people on the platform as part of the platform party. First of all, our Chancellor, Dr. Khotso Mogele, that will be presiding this function this morning, the graduation ceremony this morning. We also have our guest speaker, Mr. Ace Malloy. Mr. Malloy will be formally introduced by our program director in a few minutes' time. We also have a representative for the Chair of Council, who is a member of Council, Ms. Leah Molatseli, this morning. Good morning, Madam. She was also the 2017 a young alumnus of the year of the University of the Free State. Then we have some of our vice rectors here this morning. We have the Vice Rector Institutional Change, Student Affairs and Community Engagement, Professor Puleng Lenkabula. We also have the Acting Vice Rector Academic, that will be the Program Director, Professor Henry Krokamp. We also have two of our registrars here, acting registrars, Ms. Elna van Pletsen and Mr. Anban Naidu, and you will see them during the ceremony this morning. We also have the representative of the convocation, Mr. Dr. Peter de Tooy, and welcome to you, sir. And then we have representatives from our 7 faculties here on the platform, and then we, together with the representative, we also have got the president of the SRC Bloemfontein, but also president of the institutional SRC, Mr. Sonwabile Ndwaba. So those are the people that's sitting on the platform this morning. Now, just a few things about the graduation. The graduations are supposed to be joyous events. It's a celebration, and it's really about the graduates, but it's also about their family members, their guardians, their loved ones that have supported them to get them here this morning. And I think together with that, as well as our academic staff that's sitting here on the left and on my right, that also have provided input. And they also are glad and excited that you're graduating this morning. So really everybody in this hall should be in a celebratory mode. And I often say that graduation ceremonies, although dignified in a certain way, is not supposed to be a church service. It's supposed to be a very joyous event. And the program director hopefully will tell us how we're going to do that in an orderly manner. I also would like to just remark on 2 things. We have many students here this morning that has gone through a lot of sacrifice. Not only themselves, but also some of their family members. Sacrifices that could be financial, but also emotional. And we're aware of that. But we also have many students here, or some students here this morning, that would be the first to obtain a university education in their family. And I would just like to say, well done. But, yeah, I think we should give a hand of applause. So when we talk about the University of the Free State, and when you come and study here at the university, besides the fact that we would like to give you and bring across technical content, which is important, we believe that that is not the only thing that we provide to our students. So it's not only about conferring a degree, which you will be hearing this morning, but it's also the set of values that we hopefully would have installed in you while you studied at the University of the Free State. And that set of values are set of values that we believe would and could set you aside from other graduates at other universities. And those set of values are, and I'm going to highlight maybe three that I think is important from my perspective. The one is that of critical inquiry. For us, just not to accept things, but to try to learn and try to understand more. And what it actually brings, it brings with it the receptiveness to alternative ideas. And that's important, that we would like to set graduates out that have that sort of attitude, that sort of approach to their professional life. But it's also important that specifically in a country such as South Africa, that we look at two other values that is important, and that is social responsiveness and the service to others. Because that really is what we need more from humanity. And that is hopefully also a set of value and an attribute that we wanted to bring across during your study here at the University of the Free State. And then the final value that I would like to emphasize is a value that we and you, in fact, has to make sure that society understand that to the fullest. And that is the value of integrity. We are challenged, and you're going to be challenged in your professional life, where you're going to work, in your society, exactly around that value. And we believe that what we have provided to you will give you enough support and understanding how to tackle your professional life in an integrity, in a way that in fact lift out that value to the fullest. So therefore, once again from my side, hearty welcome, and I hope that you will celebrate the achievement of your loved one this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, this is a celebration. I heard the Vice Chancellor and Rector said. Should we try again? Because I think he will be a bit disappointed if we look at the morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dumelang. Goeiemorgen. Yes, that's better. Thank you very much. And that puts us in the mode and the mood for this graduation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you probably will agree with me that when we have such an occasion like this, that we should think about some house rules. Don't you agree? Yes, yes. So I'm only going to tell you 4 of them. Now, the first one, you'll see some photographers here present in the hall today. Now, they are the official ones. But outside, you'll see designated areas, ladies and gentlemen, where you'll also find photographers. Now, these photographers are not accredited by the university, and as such, we can therefore not guarantee the quality. So please make your decision as to whom you want for you on this auspicious occasion to take the photographers and the photos of you and your loved ones. Today, obviously, is also the occasion to celebrate the achievement of our graduates. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it's also important that when we cheer and when we have these exclamations of to support our loved ones, to keep that short, because really, do you know that the next person also would like to know and hear their names being called. So a friendly request that you make those cheers, limit them, as well as the loud exclamations. Thirdly, we strive to conduct the graduation, obviously, in a dignified manner, and therefore I would like to ask you not to walk around whilst the names are being read to disturb, otherwise it's going to disturb the other people. And then fourthly, the cell phones, ladies and gentlemen. Take 1 minute, take them out, put them on silent, and you won't disturb anyone. So, is that okay? You'll do that. And if, by any chance, you've missed anything of what I've said now, please look in your programs at the bottom of page 2. There's a summary of everything that's been said. Can we agree on this? Yes, thank you very much. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege this morning to introduce to you our guest speaker. Tati Malloy, just stand next to me. Thank you. Now, Mr. S.J. Malloy, Chancellor's Distinguished Young Alumnus of the year 2018, is a freelance writer and a writing coach with a decorated portfolio of writings. He completed his BA Communication Studies, Communication Science degree at the University of the Free State, and served in multiple leadership positions on campus. Ace has written 3 books already. So young, 3 books. And the title, Holding My Breath, one of his books, was featured in the 2018 Pan-African Writing Catalogue compiled by the leading bookseller, Exclusive Books. Also in 2018, this young man was inducted into the Golden Key International Honors Society as an honorary member in recognition of his positive influence on the youth. And if you want to read more, turn to page 10, ladies and gentlemen, of your program, and you'll see a comprehensive CV of our guest speaker, Mr. Ace Malloy. Mr. Malloy, thank you for being here, and we're waiting with, as you wrote, holding my breath, abated breath, on what you will share with us. Thank you very much, Tati.
Thank you very much. Dumela. Good morning. Chancellor of the University of the Free State, Dr. Khotso Mkhele, Rector and Vice Chancellor, Professor Francis Peterson, the leadership of students present here today, batswadi ba ratehileng, parents, graduates. I have to be honest with you that I stand before you haunted by the heartfelt regret that was publicly expressed by one of the students I graduated with after our graduation ceremony in autumn 2014. And this is what he had to say when he responded to the fact that Loyiso Gola, the comedian, was part of the people that were speaking at the graduation ceremony for that season. He said, "I hate the fact that Loyiso Gola spoke at my graduation." This has made me realize that although Loyiso Gola might be a comedian, it is not a joke to stand before you here, and that the choice of a speaker and the legacy of that speaker can be as traumatizing as seeing your ex-girlfriend in all your graduation pictures. Above all else, I address you with honest humility and a great sense of anxiety as to whether I will finish my speech without any of you walking out and going live on Facebook as you do. As we have all come to learn from Malusiki Gaba, it's not that something happened that really matters, but that it was caught on camera. But in an act of self-love, I've decided to name my speech The Wows of Storytelling, so that there is at least just one thing about it that will make you go, wow. But on a serious note, your qualification is a vital addition to society. You are the only graduates who are trained in human sciences, a science that is tricky, a science that is unpredictable, a science that is contradictory. Human beings are complicated, and only you have what it takes to navigate this complex network of attitudes, of emotions, and of dialectics. The only paradigm that governs your worldview is humanity and not technicality. Not even the most sophisticated technology can substitute your worth in society. Accordingly, allow me to first and foremost congratulate you all in advance for this great achievement, your graduation, and equally thank the University of the Free State for this humbling invitation. For many of you, Graduating with a university degree is more about the socioeconomic conditions of your family than it is about your drive, your passion, resilience, and aptitude, although you wouldn't be in this class without any of these traits. This means that your graduation is a storytelling occasion. It details the quantity of sighs, the depth of your gasps, and the intensity of your hopes on the road to victory. Even those of you who may claim to have had an easy walk to Caluhuman are bound to the fate of storytelling by the very nature of your qualifications. Therefore, to manipulate philosopher J.P. Sartre's words, on all sides you escape being, yet you are. My whole career is built on storytelling. I started writing professionally in my first day when I came to this institution. I joined the student newspaper and explored other platforms such as News24 Writing, which was at that time the biggest blogging site in South Africa. And in 2013, fully persuaded that storytelling is my calling, I took a major leap of faith and decided to finish writing my first book, which I had actually begun writing in my first year. Through In Her Fall Rose a Nation, the title of the first book, I wanted to form an alternative narrative for students who are in universities and are always blamed by people who would never survive just a minute in their shoes. The core story, which I'm glad to share with you today on the occasion of your graduation, was this: you have a basic right to make mistakes and a responsibility to learn from the mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes with my first book, and I think of them whenever I venture into a new project. I learned that sometimes you can be so familiar to your voice that you actually undermine it, and that when the same voice reaches a new audience, it makes for a powerful story. So don't be too accustomed to your insecurities. Don't introduce yourself using your flaws. The world is interested in what you are carrying and not necessarily what you are lacking. In 2015, I took up an internship program at the city of Johannesburg. And faced by the piercing loneliness of this city of migrants, I took to writing as a coping mechanism to deal with my existential crisis. And what came out of this was my second book, Holding My Breath. Now, with this book, I wanted to narrate the story of motherhood, of sacrifice, of grief, of brokenness, and of the hopeless pursuit of wholeness. And by the time I began writing my third creative offering, which is Tholwana tsa Tokoloho, my first Sesotho book, there was not even a shadow of doubt to me that I am truly meant to tell stories. So what I'm saying in essence is that standing before you today in this gathering of storytellers is a storyteller, and this is indeed a good story to tell. Now, there are many ways in which storytelling plays an instrumental role in the shaping of spaces and persons. With your permission, and indeed because it is necessary, I would like to share just 3 wows of storytelling. Ya pele, storytelling is a weapon for diversity. In 2015, I was approached by the Heartline Center for Values Promotion to write for their storytelling campus resource that was called What's Your Story? The What's Your Story campus resource was aimed at bridging the gap between students on different campuses nationwide, using the power of story. This is because story connects us beyond our visible differences. Story binds us together in common humanity. Story meets our human need to be understood. Story generates empathy. It makes people to reflect and say, I'm sorry, I didn't know you went through this, I'll do better next time. So remember this as you venture out into your different careers, that in moments of heightened mistrust and tension, it is your story that will build a bridge between you and the community you work in. Ya bobedi, storytelling is story-taking. In essence, what I'm saying is that storytellers, if they are genuine, have to know when to step back and listen to other people's stories. I'm speaking here today to a gathering that includes, among others, future journalists. And I'm saying that you must always remember that your duty is not to impose your own opinions and narratives on your newspaper readership, your radio listenership, and your television viewership. Yours is to articulate their dreams, their experiences, and anxieties, just much more in a coherent and amplified voice. I run a writing consultancy business that's called the AM Writing Center. And through this consultancy business, I'm privileged to interact with a lot of young people who want to be writers and are calling on me to help them with my expertise for their writing dreams to come into life. And in my conversations with them, one thing is always very, very clear, and that is to say they want me to help them become better storytellers and not to take away their stories. So I think you'll remember this in your chosen path in politics, in sociology, in anthropology, in the performing arts. The last one, storytelling is a liberating exercise. There is nothing as validating, as affirming, and as assuring as story. When you take control of your narrative, you free yourself from any feeling of guilt, of shame that could hold you back from living your life fully. Christianity, which is a faith that I'm deeply rooted in, teaches us that when we confess our sins, that is to say, when we tell our stories, we earn the forgiveness of God. Earlier this year, our church, CRC, encouraged all of us to go on social media and share our story of how we have seen God in our lives. And what came out of this campaign was something so marvelous to watch. And what it taught me personally is that we must never deny people an opportunity to tell us about their journey, because inviting someone to tell their story is a humanizing act. I know that in this gathering, there are theology and religion students, and I've just been informed a couple of minutes ago that there's actually just one graduate from the theology and religion side. But anyway, there are religion and theology students who are called into ministry and related works. And I'm certain that they will agree with me when I say it was only when Jesus showed Thomas his wound that Thomas actually believed the story of resurrection. And what I'm saying here is that at all times you must do your best to avail yourself for others to learn about your truth. Be vulnerable, and people will relax in your presence as their psychologist and as their social worker. Show them your scars, and they will trust you with their wounds. To conclude my message to you today, may you please allow me to address you generally on a few principles that will keep you afloat against the currents of despair and opposition. Ya pele, at all times, make sure that you put your principles over and above personalities. It doesn't matter who you are dealing with. Your principles are sacred and priceless. If you can pack them away in your conversation with your supervisor, how will you stand your ground against the head of department? Secondly, do not compromise your conscience. You are going to meet people out there whose relationship with you depends heavily on your availability for corrupt dealings. These are people who want to dent your morals so that they can control you. Remember at all times, anyone who has a claim on your conscience has control over your competency as well as agency. Second, last one, prepare your mind for greatness. One of the saddest things in life is to work with people who never thought they would amount to anything, and therefore live their life trying to prove a point to an imaginary audience that indeed they are in charge, they have money, they are famous. So it is important that you see yourself as great before your breakthrough actually comes, so that when it really does come, you don't reverse your own blessings by your own acts of shock that you have made it. Last one, don't tame your story, tell it. I challenge you to go tell your story, which is the story behind your scars at the end of this occasion. No, actually, don't tell your story. I want you to scream your story. I want you to broadcast it on every platform. You are a billboard of possibility to many people in your community, a living translation of hope, a city on the mountaintop, the salt we need in this otherwise tasteless society, a leader of the new school, a perfect fit for our current times. Once again, congratulations on your graduation, and I wish you a prosperous future ahead. Thank you very much.
Mr. Malloy started off to say he wants to wow us. I think he wowed us. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause. What's a celebration without music? So, where's the musicians? Oh, where are you, sirs and ladies? Taken from George Bizet's 1863 French opera, The Pearl Fishers, this has become one of the best-known pieces in Western opera. To perform at the back of the Holy Temple, also known as the Pearl Fishers Duet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on my left, Marupeng Mokalake and Fetz Mofokeng.
Damunana su te, quella trasalenza lingue.
Col fame consigne.
T'amendra pusse me.
Amende posse me.
Te nu sena nu repare, e nu sena nana mi.
No, che luce pare, Arianne luce pare, Ti roder serra mi, Ti roder serra mi, o vigir roder
Mr. Chancellor, I think this graduation ceremony can be labeled as the WOW 2018 graduation. A round of applause for our musicians, ladies and gentlemen. Maruping and Fetch. Thank you. I now call upon the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Professor Heidi Hudson, to present her candidates. Professor Hudson.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the privilege of requesting you to award and confer qualifications to and on the candidates that I introduce to you. Postgraduate Diploma in Governance and Political Transformation. Chuane G. Bachelor of Arts. Chauki SP. Kutsia S. Devet CM. Vinger K. Fotwane B. Julie's N. Mafete M. Mahumapelo OD. Mkitika A. Mohomane R. Mukatsa CM. Molebalwa YB. Mtete, NA. Morwe, RR. Motlatledi, KGJ. Mutseki, GMM. Ndaba, NNZ. Rafuku, DM. Reuter, MC. Sekati, MH. Sidimela, T. Simmons, RA. Stoffels, CI. Tibiri, TI. Tlakung, M. Van Graaf, ZC. Wildeman, D. Bachelor of Arts in Communication Science with specialization in corporate and marketing communication. De Bruin, C. Gering, J. Jordan, M. Lensho, KR. Letsuela, MT. Mabine, R. Mahlangu, TS. Maranyane, M. Molebatsi, ML. Mulwantwa, T. Murison, KJ. Musuwo, TG. Ngubeze, CZ. Nonkunzi, SS. Ntlane, M. Seteta T. Tigels BE. Bachelor of Arts in Communication Science with specialization in Media Studies and Journalism. Caldo EH. Wang C. Lutuli NS. Maasdorp AL. Matsuma TL. Moslashlo MR. Mohilwa LE. Mokwena K. Olifant CBL. Ramaru U. Bachelor of Arts in Drama and Theatre Arts. May SD. Bachelor of Arts in Geography and Environmental Management. Kosa KY. Mafantiri M. Muhanwe MG. Ramalibana RR. Bachelor of Arts in Governance and Political Transformation. Dichaba BM. Kiose W. Maboy LR. Mishak NG. Munyane OG. Solo JT. Zulu SN. Bachelor of Arts in Human Movement Science. Alberts A. De Beer T. Herndel B. Muketsi, TG. Nduzo, TB. Ponko, M. Siganga, S. Van Vuren, JD. Bachelor of Arts in Language Practice with specialization in General Language Practice. Mbopa, YG. Bachelor of Arts in Management. Barlow, D. Botha, XS. Biaruhanga, C. Diseko, BP. Herbst, LA. Lekama, LI. Mbebe, S. Slabbert, WA. Shabalala, R. Van Essen, H. Bachelor of Arts, majoring in Geography and Communication Science. Sebogotsane, PB. Bachelor of Social Sciences in Human and Societal Dynamics. Baloy, PN. Bushula, VF. Coresius, K. Dichaba, M. Gludla, NS. Harding, GW. Kaile, MM. Kleinhans, CH. Ledimo, DVJ. Luxomo, N. Mabuza, ST. Marikane, C. Mafora, I. Mahila, PS. Mahine, PA. Mahanya, M. Malebo, I. Matong, RB. Miripiri, B. Mudise, G. Mochwaladi, DL. Mojakisane, MM. Mokwena, M. Moniera, TL. Muzila, MO. Naki, Z. Nyembe, TC. Pula, SO. Semela, PJ. Sepachana, GP. Sepula, ME. Thomas, NS. Shabalala, BV. Van Sale, J. Zulu, LG. Bachelor of Social Science, majoring in Industrial Psychology and Psychology. My DB, L. Bachelor of Social Work. Finye, B. Kok, FM. Bachelor of Arts, Honours with specialization in Philosophy. Gubincha, L, and the degree with distinction. Bachelor of Social Science Honours with specialization in Psychology. Neokong, KT. BA Communication with specialization in Corporate and Marketing Communication. Mashwabi, K. I now call upon the Dean, Theology and Religion, Professor Fani Snyman, to introduce his candidate.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the privilege of inviting you to confer the bachelor's degree on the candidate I introduce to you. Bachelor of Theology, Page ABM.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this graduation was so short that I can stretch it as long as you want me to. For as long as you don't respond the way I like it when I say, good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. This was short. This was less than an hour. I think it easily is one of the shortest that I have presided over in the 8 years that I've been here. Short it may have been, but inspiring it always is. This year we did not have graduations in September, so the last time we had graduations was in June. And so I've kind of been missing to come into this hall and be inspired by you again. But my inspiration comes from my envy, actually. How I want to be 21, 22, 23 again. And but to be that, wonderful as it was for me to be 21, 22, 23 in the 1970s, to be that now. And so many wonderful things that one can do. And so many wonderful things that I hope you guys are going to do. But I'll come back to that a little later. I recently attended, Mr. Vice Chancellor, a graduation at University of Johannesburg. A young man who grew up in the same community that I grew up in, Bloemfontein, was getting a PhD there. And for the first time in more than 15 years, I was in a graduation in the audience. And it was a very special feeling to be in the audience and not have to preside. And I sent an email to Joan Nell after that to say to her, because I could not help but compare. How do they do it versus how we do it? I think I like how we do it better. I like the fact that we have remained traditional about it. We have not, modernity is wonderful, but modernity can also take things out of tradition that we should preserve. And I really hope that we'll continue to be as traditional, because this ceremony is a very medieval ceremony. And it doesn't mean that anything that happened in the 15th, 16th century is actually horrible and has to be discarded. So I like the way we do it. I think it is more inspiring to do it the way we do it. So let's stick to this tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say thank you to our graduates today. But as the Vice Chancellor said when he opened, that the achievement is yours. You did the work. You spent the nights studying. Some of you had to walk here because you didn't have money for the taxi to bring you here. And I want to say to everybody, let's acknowledge and recognize the fact that their hard work has paid up. And here they are today, and I really want us to give them a round of applause. But now I want them to rise. All of them to please rise. Firstly, in front of you are some of the people who walked the journey with you, as your teachers, as your lecturers, senior lecturers, professors, deans, deputy vice chancellors, vice chancellors. I think it is now your turn to say, some of them, honestly, you may not like very much. Because some of them, you may believe that they made things a little harder for you than needed to be. Some of them, you will discover later that you will develop lifelong relationships with. I was in California, Northern California in July to go visit with my professor who promoted my PhD studies at University of California, Davis. He's 94 years old, and every time I get an opportunity to go to the US, I visit him, spend a few days with him. That's what you will discover in the future, that some of these relationships can develop into. So I want you now to say thank you to them as your teachers, lecturers, professors, tutors, for having been part of your journey. But even before you came onto this campus, there were people, some of whom are sitting up on the bleachers, who were part of your journey, who were part of your story. As Ndade Moloi says, we have a story to tell. Some of them sacrificed immensely for you to be standing here in front of us today. Some of them themselves would have gone to bed without food to make sure that you have food and you have the money to come here and study. Some of them are spouses. Some are uncles and aunts. Some are nephews and nieces that today you are an inspiration to. Some are neighbors. Some are people that you go to church with. People in the community in which you grew up. Can you, as loudly as you can, please say thank you to all of them? Thank you very much. Let me also say thank you to Maruping Mukalake and Fets Mufokeng in their absence. You can please be seated. Thank you. For those beautiful voices that they serenaded us with this morning. I agree with Dean I still call you Dean Krokamp. I must get used to the fact that you are now more important person than just a mere dean. Acting Vice Rector, Academic Krokamp, Professor Krokamp, that without music, human life would be a very different experience altogether. In their absence and the ensemble, let's give them a round of applause, please. Professor Krokamp, when you were the dean, when you still that lowly human form called the dean, before you moved up to higher places, I used to look forward to the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. And you'd stand here, and there would be energy in this room, and you would insert energy into it. And you've just done the same to being the driver of this ceremony. You've just rewritten the script for me. So all the other Deputy Vice Chancellors, I think anybody coming here for the next 3 days, Professor Krokamp has set the mood with your informality, but your energy at the same time. I've always been in love with your energy. And thank you very much. This is the first time that you and I work together in this role. All that is left of me now is our guest speaker, Ace Moloi. I thought that by now, people who have that first name would have changed it because of the other guy. And that, you know, that name used to be in football. You know, it used to be one of the most admired names from Ace Insulung, who played for Kaizer Chiefs from Mutlageng in Randfontein. But now, hey, the aces of these days. Eish. You said you're going to wow us. You said you're going to inspire us, and you achieved that. But that achievement, for me, goes back to the alumni of this institution that you are and that you have become. And I want us, this alumni sitting in front of me now, we cannot get a better example than Ace Moloi sitting in front of us. But more than just who he is, he tells us about the stories that we must tell. Your stories, our stories. And he's absolutely right. The stories must be told. But in addition to your individual story and my individual story, there are many other stories that form and develop around us. And one of those stories is the story of South Africa. 24 years old, as a democracy, and it's an unfolding story. And my question to you, and the question from Ace Moloi, is how is your story going to impact on that bigger story? How is your story going to shape the bigger story? And it's not just, I mean, I can go on and on about stories. It's not just the story of South Africa, it's the story of this continent. is a story of the world where the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia can give instructions for a man to be kidnapped and chopped up into pieces, and his body parts sent wherever they've been sent, and the president of the most powerful nation in the world, Donald Trump, says, maybe he did, maybe he did not do it. But it really does not matter. Our political relationship with Saudi Arabia is more important than this man who has been killed and chopped up. It's a story of, coming back to South Africa, of the Zondo Commission, of the Nugent Commission. It's the story of Shamila Batoyi, now being the director of the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. It's the story of the 2019 election and what that election is going to do to the current president of this country, and whether the courage that everybody wishes upon him will manifest post that election. But the question is, how are you going to influence the story as it continues to evolve, as it continues to unfold? You as the graduates of today, but you also sitting up in the bleachers. We all know the ending of the story that we want. We want the ending of the story where I would not need medical aid because I can walk into public hospital and get the best quality care possible. It's a story where your children, you would not have to pay 80,000 rands for your children to go to grade 1. More than you pay for somebody to come to university, because you dare not send them into the public education system. It's a story where, in front of my house, which is next to a stream that flows through Sandton, there's no wall, and there's no electric fence, and there's no security cameras. And I don't sit in my house and I look at the monitor every time I see some movement outside. It's a story of 100% literacy, of the best healthcare indices in the world, where everybody feels free to be themselves. So that's the end of the story in Dademloy. But the question is, how do we write the story to get to that end? And what's your role in it? And immigration is no longer that wonderful way out of these challenges that we're confronted with now. Because wherever you go, this world has become what this world has become. And if there's a message from Ace Molloy to me today, is what's my role going to be in the writing of the story that leads to that ending? I really want us all to ponder that. Because as they say, whatever we do or do not do, we always get the outcomes that we deserve. Dademloy, thank you very much for a very inspiring message. And we shall think about the stories as individuals and the collective stories that have to be written by all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the proceedings for this morning. The university takes great pleasure in inviting all graduates and their guests for refreshments in HMS which is to the east, which means to the right, or not to the west, which is to the left of this venue. We are now going to be joined by Yanni Marais, accompanied by the Graduation Instrumental Ensemble, under the direction of Anton Esterhuizen, who will shortly lead us in the singing of the national anthem. After that, you are requested to remain standing while the congregation is dissolved and the main and academic processions leave the hall. May you please rise. By virtue of the power vested in me as Chancellor, I hereby dissolve this congregation of the University of the Free State.